Hello everyone and welcome back to the Pit Papa. For this week's cook, we're doing a smoked tri-tip roast, grilled carrots, and smoked baked potatoes, so stick around. Now, not everyone's heard of a tri-tip, so let's discuss what it is. It is a triangular cut of beef that comes from the bottom sirloin subprimal in the cow, and it often gets confused with brisket or picanha. And part of that could be because it's sometimes referred to as a poor man's brisket, but a tri-tip is a cut unto itself that is a delicious and highly flavorful and incredibly easy to cook cut of beef that more resembles a steak than it does a brisket. Now, let's talk about why we would cook a tri-tip. So aside from the very obvious you just love tri-tip like I do, one of the biggest reasons to cook a tri-tip is because you don't necessarily have time to cook a brisket. A brisket is a very long, very technical cook, whereas a tri-tip is much more forgiving and it's a much faster cook time. And so you can get that delicious, hearty beef flavor a lot faster. As I mentioned, tri-tip is essentially a really, really big steak. In fact, you can buy tri-tip at like a Costco cut into individual steaks, but I'm doing the whole quote-unquote roast. And in doing so, I want to have a rub on it so it goes on and marries with the smoke very well. So let's go over how to make Pit Papa's steak rub. Now for my steak rub, I go for a very easy 1-to-1 ratio on all of my ingredients. So you're going to be using 2 tablespoons of kosher salt, granulated garlic, onion powder, smoked paprika, dried rosemary, dried thyme, and black pepper. The only thing that doesn't follow the 1-to-1 ratio is I use 2.5 tablespoons of brown sugar. In this particular video, you'll see me use dark. I actually prefer to use light in my rubs, but I was out, so we went with dark this time. Now, once it's all together, you're going to put it in the bowl, shake it all up together so it comes nice and homogenized, and then you're going to rub it all over your tri-tip. We're cooking the tri-tip today in the Oklahoma Joe's offset smoker, and we're doing it over a combination of all natural charcoal and mesquite wood chunks. Now, personally, I like to start my charcoal in a separate cooker and then transfer it to the Oklahoma Joe. This allows me to not have any of the acrid smoke flavor, especially if I ever need to add charcoal later. Right now, you can see I'm starting up the charcoal in my Weber kettle grill, and I'm using these all natural stick starters in order to get them going. So we're going to get those fired up, and then we're going to head back into the kitchen to prep the tri-tip. Now, I bought a pre-trimmed tri-tip roast from my butcher, which means that the silver skin and the fat cap have already been removed. Now, if your tri-tip roast still has those on it, you will need to take those off before you can put it out in the smoker. In my case, though, I have this pre-trimmed beauty right here, so we're going to generously apply my Pit Papa steak rub to both sides as well as the end, and then we'll get it out on the Oklahoma Joe. But hang on just a second. Let's not forget we're not just doing an entree this week, we're also doing 2 sides, and one of those sides is smoked potatoes. These potatoes go out onto the smoker for the same length of time and at the same temperature as our tri-tip. So we're going to take these pre-washed russets, we're going to coat them in a little bit of oil, and that'll help them not stick to the grill. We're back at the Oklahoma Joe 3-in-1 now. We've got the charcoal moved over from the Weber kettle grill into the offset box. Everything's preheated up to about a 250 degree point, which is where we want to cook the potatoes and the tri-tip. So we're going to get the tri-tip in, and then we'll add the potatoes. Let's talk a little bit about the technical aspects of the cook. We're cooking this tri-tip and these potatoes over a combination of natural charcoal and mesquite wood chunks. Now, you don't see me add the mesquite wood chunks, but they are in there. You can see the smoke coming up out of the chimney here. I was filming it and nearly dropped my camera into the firebox, so as a result, we don't have that footage. Now we're aiming to keep our smoker at about 250 degrees Fahrenheit. And our final internal temperature on our meat when it's done is going to be between medium rare, or 130 degrees Fahrenheit, and medium, which is 140 degrees Fahrenheit. One of my secrets when I cook tri-tip is I actually pull the meat about 5 degrees below my end goal temperature and I let it rest, because I come back and I sear my tri-tip on a really high grill before I serve it, and I don't want to push it into another level of doneness. And by pulling it and letting it rest and letting it come down below the end desired temperature, I get that result. Now with my Oklahoma Joe offset, I have found that the bottom of items tends to get a heavier smoke than the top. So what I like to do is come out about halfway through my cook, in this case an hour, and flip them over so that I get an even smoke on all the sides. Now let's talk about our second side, which is grilled carrots. First things first, oil your carrots up nice, and then we're going to take it out to a grill. We ignited our grill on high on all 3 burners and let it get nice and hot on the inside. We're going to kill one of the burners so that we're going to have a side that has direct heat and a side that does not. And we're going to put the carrots down on the direct heat side. We're going to let these sit before rolling them over for just about 2 minutes on each side, get them nice and charred up. Then you're going to relocate them all over to the side of the grill that does not have direct heat. In the case of my grill, I do need to kill that second burner. And then we're going to leave them there for about half an hour until they get nice and tender. Now, when I put the carrots on, I did a quick temperature check of both my roast and my potatoes, and my roast is getting close to where I'm going to want to pull it, but my potatoes are lagging a little bit behind. So we're going to do a quick swap of sides and move the potatoes closer to the offset box heat source and move the roast further away and give the potatoes some time to catch up. Once your roast is about 5 degrees away from where you want it to finish, I pull mine off and, as you can see, put it on a rack and bring it in the house to rest for about 15 to 20 minutes while everything else catches up. And then we're going to go out and sear this baby over high once we pulled the carrots. Let's talk about meat donenesses for a second. Rare, which is that cool red center, is at 125 degrees Fahrenheit. Medium rare is 135 degrees Fahrenheit and has that warm red center. Medium is 145 and has the warm pink center. Medium well is 150 at a slightly pink center. Don't let your tri-tip get to medium well, and please don't let it get to well done. Shoot for medium. That's about where I aim for because it's what my family eats best, but medium rare can be even better if you like it that way. Now it's time to pull the carrots. They've been out here for a total of 35 minutes. You can tell when you go to pick them up that they're nice and tender. So you're going to just deposit them in a clean bowl and be ready to serve them. You can salt them, or if you'd like, put a little bit of maple syrup or honey on them, but I like them just as they are. Once you get your carrots off, fire all 3 burners back up to high on your grill and be ready to sear that tri-tip that's been resting. You're going to sear it for about 2 minutes on each side. This will bring the temperature right back up to where you want it to be, and it'll be nice and beautifully caramelized on the outside. Once you've seared it on both sides, go ahead and pull it and return it to your rack and take it inside to slice and serve. And last but not least, of course, is your potatoes that you've had on the smoker for that full 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes. You're going to take the temperature between 195 to 210 is where you want to hit. It depends on who you ask. I'm pulling these at about 195, but 210 is what a lot of people I have talked to recommend for potatoes. When it comes to service, how you plate this up for presentation is entirely up to you. As for me, I've got everything piled together on this rustic wooden tray. When you slice this up, be sure to slice against the grain, and I personally like to go for thin slices that I can pile up on my eater's plates so it just looks like they've got a whole ton of meat there. Now, if you've gotten this far, I want to thank you for watching the video. Please be sure to like it if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't, hit that notification bell because I will be back next week with another cook, and leave us a comment below. Tell me what you smoke your tri-tip over, or let me know any other questions you have. But for now, I've been the Pit Papa. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next week for another cook.